This is the Lumix S1RII. It's Panasonic's upgrade to the older S1R, a camera designed for high-resolution photography. It has a 44 megapixel sensor, phase detect autofocus, and 8K open gate recording. It's a beefy camera, and it's packed into a camera about the same size as the S5II. My daily camera is the Lumix S5II, a camera that I would consider my golden goose. But I recently had a client ask me for photos that could be printed at an extremely high resolution for a large banner. I am confident in the S5II, but with a 24 megapixel sensor, I wasn't confident how it would look with massively blown up images. So I grabbed the S1R II, hoping I could grab some high quality stills and just call it a day. And then the client canceled on me. So with an extra day to use the camera, I brought it out to the pool hall to test it out. And my first impressions were mixed. With it having a similar body and size to the S5II, but a clunkier layout, I was just struggling to capture the way I normally would with the S5II. I was putting this camera in a tough situation and asking it to do a lot, but I know my own personal limitations, and I'm confident with the equipment that I use. But the phase detect autofocus was not doing well in the low light. It felt slower than the S5II by a good bit, and I was struggling to have it capture anything. I eventually just set it to manual focus and had way better results. I'll say, even with my frustrations at low light, the stills that this camera produces do look really good. And I was glad that I had the time to test this camera in the worst conditions, since I was also scheduled to shoot a wedding the day after. This was a hybrid event. I was operating solo and handling photo and video. This was really the moment that I needed the S1R II to shine. The goal was to try and use the S1R II for as much of this event as possible. Since I'm operating solo, I need to be able to be present in the moment and not focused on anything else. But I still had my trusty S5II with me just in case something went wrong. But I didn't want to have to rely on it. I needed to put the S1R II through the paces and see how it performed. And I can say it did not start out good. I struggled a good bit to get clean shots at the start. Focus was missing, so again, I was back to manual. I was frustrated with the performance of this camera. It seemed like such a slam dunk for Panasonic. Why was it struggling so much? We were only at the first location for about an hour, and then it was on to location 2. I took the opportunity to switch to a prime lens. The prime lens I was using was an f1.8 over the f2.8 zoom that I normally roll with. With that change, it was like the camera woke up. Autofocus wasn't missing, it was grabbing quickly, and I was able to snap so easily. It was weird. I stopped down the prime to hit 2.8 and it still performed just fine. So was my Sigma zoom the problem the whole time? Well, no. It was a much dumber reason than that. I had switched to only using the viewfinder and the joystick. When I put the Sigma back on, it worked fine. Autofocus was snappy and there was no issues at all. My lenses are all fine. The issue is the S1R II. If you touch the monitor, instead of using the joystick to grab focus, it will wait for you to confirm before it will grab focus again. Which really isn't how any of the other Lumix cameras I've used work. So I would set the point on the monitor and then not understand why it refused to grab focus. Is it user error? Well, yeah. Is it also a really stupid change that doesn't need to exist? Also, yeah. So what do I actually think of the S1R II? Well, I like it. It did end up being reliable for the entire wedding after I got comfortable with it. And especially with the different controls. And I feel like it's the type of camera that could be good in a primary photography situation. And probably a good primary photography camera for me down the road. But I don't need it. I don't feel like I needed it more than my S5II at any point now, especially now that I've used it. If it was the first Lumix I ever had, I think it would sell me on the brand for sure, but it's twice the price of the S5II, and I just don't see myself buying one of these over two of those.